The transport shuttle descended through Vera's crimson atmosphere, and Kyle pressed his palm against the viewport, watching the capital city rise from the planet's surface like a crown of silver spires. His reflection stared back, tired eyes, jaw tight with tension. 3 months ago, Earth's Defense Council had given him an impossible mission. Now he was about to find out just how impossible it would be. The enemy was coming. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon enough that Earth's military couldn't face them alone. The Veran Empire had the firepower, the strategic position the ship's humanity desperately needed, and they knew it. The shuttle landed with a hiss of hydraulics. Kyle straightened his uniform and stepped onto Veran's soil for the first time. The air smelled like copper and something floral he couldn't name. 2 Veran guards flanked him immediately, their silver skin catching the light of the twin suns overhead. They didn't speak. They just walked, and Kyle followed, his boots echoing on the polished stone pathway leading to the palace. The throne room was vast enough to house a battleship. Emperor Vone sat elevated on a platform of dark crystal, his eyes, black with flecks of gold, fixed on Kyle as he approached. The Emperor's presence filled the space like gravity. "Human diplomat Kyle Harrison," the Emperor said, his voice resonating through the chamber. "You come seeking alliance. I come seeking survival," Kyle replied. "For both our worlds. Honest. I appreciate that." The Emperor leaned forward. "Then I will be equally honest. The Council has debated your proposal for weeks. We have one condition before we commit our fleets to your cause." Kyle's stomach tightened. "Name it." "You will marry one of 3 Veran women. Tonight, the union will be recorded, witnessed, and binding under both our laws. This is not negotiable." The words hit like a physical blow. Kyle had expected trade agreements, resource sharing, maybe territorial concessions. Not this. Because alliances built on documents fail when the documents burn. Alliances built on blood endure. You will become Veran. Your children will be Veran. Earth will become family, not just an ally. The Emperor stood. "Refuse, and you may leave immediately. Accept, and we will bring the candidates." Kyle's mind raced. He thought of Earth, of the projections, of the billions who would die if the enemy arrived and found them alone. He thought of his sister, of the message she'd sent before he left. "Come home safe." "I accept." The Emperor gestured, and 3 women entered from separate archways. Each moved with purpose, their footsteps perfectly synchronized, despite coming from different directions. They formed a line before the throne, and Kyle felt the weight of hundreds of eyes on him from the court galleries above. The first woman stepped forward. She was stunning in a way that seemed mathematically precise. Symmetrical features, silver skin that glowed softly, hair like spun starlight. Her movements were graceful, controlled, serene. "This is Liora," the Emperor announced, daughter of the High Council, scholar, strategist, trained in 7 forms of combat and 4 systems of governance. She embodies perfection. Leora's smile was warm but measured. "It would be an honor to unite our peoples, Kyle Harrison." The second woman moved forward with the confident stride of a soldier. Taller, broader in the shoulders, her silver skin marked with ceremonial scars that formed intricate patterns. Her eyes held the sharp focus of someone who'd seen battle and won. "This is Thessia, commander of the 7th Fleet. She has led campaigns across 16 systems. She embodies strength." Thessia inclined her head. "Together, we would be formidable." The third woman hesitated before stepping forward, and that hesitation caught Kyle's attention immediately. She was smaller than the others, her silver skin darker, almost charcoal in the throne room's light. Her hair was cut short, practical, but it was her eyes that held him. They burned with something raw and unfiltered. "This is Kira," the Emperor said, and there was something in his tone. Not quite disapproval, but close. "She serves in the intelligence division. She is included for completeness." Kira said nothing. Her hands clenched and unclenched at her sides, and she was staring at Kyle with an intensity that made him want to step back, not from fear, from the sheer force of emotion radiating from her. "You have 1 hour to speak with each candidate," the Emperor said. "Then you will choose." The first conversation happened in a garden of crystalline flowers that chimed softly in the breeze. Liora sat across from Kyle, pouring tea with movements so perfect they seemed rehearsed. "I have studied Earth extensively," she said. "Your literature, your history, your art. I find your species fascinating. Chaotic, yes, but beautifully so." "Chaotic?" Kyle repeated. "You feel so deeply. It is your greatest strength and your most dangerous weakness." She handed him the tea. "I could help you navigate Veran culture. I could be the bridge between our worlds. Together, we would create something harmonious." She was saying all the right things. Kyle could picture the alliance built on her foundation. Stable, reliable, politically sound. But something nagged at him. Something too smooth. Thessia met him in a training arena. She handed him a practice blade without preamble. "Spar with me," she said. They fought for 10 minutes, and Thessia held back just enough to make it interesting without humiliating him. When they finished, both breathing hard, she nodded approvingly. "You fight well for a human. You understand tactics." She set down her blade. "The enemy you face requires strength. Not just military strength, but the strength to make hard choices. I have made those choices. I would make them again to protect what matters." "And Earth matters to you?" Kyle asked. "It will, if you choose me. I protect what is mine." The answer was honest, at least. Kyle respected that, but there was something distant in her eyes, something that calculated rather than felt. Kira waited for him in a small room with a single window overlooking the city. She was pacing when he entered, and she spun to face him with startling speed. "Why are you here?" she demanded. The Emperor said, "No, why are you really here? What does Earth actually need?" Her eyes searched his face. "Everyone else has asked you about yourself, about what you want. I am asking what your world needs." Kyle blinked, caught off guard by the directness. "We need military support, ships, technology, strategic positioning. The enemy fleet is..." "I know about the enemy fleet. I work in intelligence." She stepped closer, and Kyle noticed her hands were trembling. "I also know that Liora has had 3 private meetings with off-world contacts in the past month. I know that Thessia's fleet requisitions do not match her reported deployments. I know that something is wrong here, and no one is listening to me because I am too emotional to be trusted." Kyle's pulse quickened. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that you should not be here, that this marriage demand is convenient for someone, that perfect Liora and strong Thessia are exactly the kind of choices that look good in records." Kira's voice dropped. "I am saying that I notice things. I feel things. And right now, I feel like you are walking into a trap. Why tell me this? Because you are human. Because humans feel things too, and maybe you will understand." Her hands clenched into fists. "Because if you choose me, everyone will think you are a fool, but I will keep you alive." The hour ended. Kyle stood before the Emperor and the assembled court, 3 women flanking the throne. Liora looked serene. Thessia looked confident. Kira looked like she might shatter. "I choose Kira," Kyle said. The silence that followed was absolute. Then chaos erupted. Voices shouting from the galleries. Counselors rising from their seats. Even the Emperor's expression cracking into surprise. "This is unacceptable," someone shouted. "She is unstable. She brings no political advantage. The human insults us by choosing our least worthy daughter." Through it all, Kira stood frozen, eyes wide and locked on Kyle. The Emperor raised a hand, and silence fell. "You understand what you are doing?" "I understand exactly what I am doing," Kyle said. "Then it is done. The ceremony will commence immediately." The marriage ritual was brief, formal, binding. Kyle barely processed it. His mind was racing through Kira's words, through the patterns he'd noticed himself, the way Liora had known too much about Earth's defense grid, the way Thessia had steered conversation away from certain topics. When the ceremony ended, Kira gripped his arm hard enough to bruise. "Come with me, now." She led him through the palace's back corridors, moving fast and silent. They ended up in a small room filled with data terminals and star charts. Kira locked the door and turned on him. "Tell me the truth. Why did you choose me?" "Because you are right. Something is wrong. I have been feeling it since I arrived, but I could not name it." Kyle met her burning gaze. "I needed someone who would notice. Someone who would not hide behind perfection or strength. Someone who would feel when things were wrong and act on it." Kira's breath caught. "You chose me to be your spy. I chose you to be my partner. I chose you because jealousy means you will notice who is too close, who is lying, who is hiding something. Everyone else sees that as weakness. I see it as the exact tool we need." For a long moment, Kira just stared at him. Then something in her expression shifted, determination replacing uncertainty. "Then we need to move fast. I have been tracking communication patterns. Liora has been sending encrypted messages to coordinates outside Veran's space. Thessia has been redirecting resources from the 7th Fleet. They are coordinating. Coordinating what? I do not know yet, but I will find out." She pulled up a holographic display. "You are about to attend your first council meeting as a Veran spouse. I will be there as your companion. Watch Liora. Watch how she reacts to different topics. I will watch Thessia." The council meeting was 3 hours of political maneuvering disguised as strategic planning. Kyle played his part, the grateful human, the diplomatic bridge, the new ally. But he watched. He watched Liora's micro-expressions when Earth's defense codes were discussed. He watched Thessia's subtle signals to certain counselors, and he felt Kira beside him, a coiled spring of focused attention. When Liora spoke to him, Kira's hand tightened on his arm. When Thessia approached during a recess, Kira positioned herself between them with the casual aggression of a bodyguard. "Your wife is very protective," Liora observed, her perfect smile never wavering, almost possessive. "I like it that way," Kyle replied. That night, in their assigned quarters, Kira spread her findings across a data table. "Here, Thessia requisitioned ships for defensive patrols, but the ships never left port. She sent them to coordinates that matched Liora's encrypted messages. They are working together," Kyle said. "More than that, look at the timing. These communications started 3 months ago, right when Earth first approached the Veran Empire for alliance." Kyle's blood ran cold. This was planned. The marriage demand, the 3 candidates, was designed to put either Liora or Thessia in position to access Earth's defense systems through you. Kira's voice shook with barely controlled fury. "They were going to make you choose beauty or strength, marry you, gain your trust, and then destroy your world from within. But why include you? Because it would look suspicious if there were only 2 choices. I was the throwaway option, the one no one would ever pick." Her laugh was bitter. "Except you did." Kyle reached across the table and took her hand. "Because you are the only one I can trust." Kira's fingers intertwined with his, gripping tight. "Then we need proof. Solid proof, enough to bring before the Emperor without them destroying us first." They spent the next 2 days playing their roles while gathering evidence. Kira used her intelligence access to trace communication signatures. Kyle leveraged his position to ask innocent questions that prompted revealing answers, and Kira's jealousy, the trait everyone dismissed, became their greatest asset. She noticed when Liora looked at Kyle too long, her gaze calculating rather than affectionate. She felt the wrongness in Thessia's casual questions about Earth's military command structure. She tracked every gesture, every word, every micro-expression. "You are not looking at me like a jealous wife," Kyle observed one night. "You are looking at them like a hunter. Because they were going to use you to kill billions," Kira said flatly. "And now I am going to stop them." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Kira discovered that Liora had been genetically engineered, not born naturally, but created in a laboratory with one purpose: to be the perfect bride for political manipulation. Her beauty, her charm, her intelligence, all designed to make her irresistible to whoever needed to be controlled. "She is a weapon," Kira breathed, staring at the genetic records, "created by the same faction that is trying to prevent the Alliance. If you had chosen her, she would have extracted every defense code, every strategic weakness, and transmitted them to the enemy fleet. And Thessia? Her fleet was promised control of Earth's colonies after the invasion succeeded. She was the backup plan. Strength instead of beauty, but the same goal. They had evidence now. Genetic records, communication logs, resource transfers, testimonies from junior officers who had noticed inconsistencies. Kira compiled it all into an unbreakable case. "We present this to the Emperor tomorrow," Kyle said, "at the formal council session. They will try to kill us first if they suspect," Kira warned. "Liora and Thessia have allies in the palace guard. Then we do not let them suspect. We act normal. We play our parts one more day." That night, Kyle barely slept. Kira sat by the window, watching the city lights, her whole body tense with alertness. When he joined her, she spoke without looking at him. "Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for keeping us alive. I mean it. My whole life people have told me my emotions make me weak. That jealousy is shameful. That I feel too much." She finally turned to face him. "You looked at what they called broken and saw strength. Because it is strength. Humans know that. We built our whole civilization on feeling too much and doing something about it." Kyle smiled. "Welcome to being part human now." Kira's laugh was soft but genuine. "Then let us show them what humans do when someone threatens their family." The council session began formally, with reports on fleet positions and resource allocations. Kyle and Kira sat in the spouse gallery, watching. Waiting. When the discussion turned to Earth's immigration into Veran defense networks, Kyle stood. "I have information the council needs to hear." The Emperor gestured permission. Kyle descended to the council floor, Kira at his side. Liora and Thessia were both present, seated among the senior counselors. Their expressions remained neutral, but Kyle saw Leora's hand move subtly towards something under her robe. 3 months ago, Earth approached the Veran Empire desperately needing alliance, Kyle began. "The Emperor demanded I marry a Veran woman to seal that alliance. But this marriage requirement was not about unity. It was about access." He activated the holographic display. Evidence filled the air. Communication logs, genetic records, fleet movements, all undeniable. Counselor Liora was genetically engineered by a faction allied with Earth's enemies. She was created to be chosen, to seduce, to extract defense information and transmit it to hostile forces. Commander Thessia coordinated military resources to facilitate an invasion once Earth's defenses were compromised. Together they planned to destroy both our world's alliance and leave Earth defenseless. Liora rose smoothly, her perfect composure cracking into something cold and dangerous. "These are lies fabricated by whom?" Kira stepped forward. "By the unstable, emotional, jealous wife no one trusts, the one who feels too much to be reliable." Her voice cut through the chamber. "I am exactly what you all dismissed, and that is why I saw what you were hiding." Thessia moved toward the exit, but palace guards, loyal ones, vetted by Kira, blocked the doors. The Emperor descended from his throne, his expression terrible. "Show me everything," he commanded. They showed him. Every communication, every gene sequence, every redirected ship, every piece of evidence that Kira's relentless attention had uncovered. The Emperor's fury was palpable as the scope of the betrayal became clear. "This conspiracy reaches into the highest levels of our government," he said finally. "Traitors who would sell our honor and our allies for promises of power." Liora shed her perfect mask entirely. "You are fools if you think you can stop what is coming. The enemy fleet is closer than you know. Earth will burn and Vera will kneel or burn with it. Then we will burn standing together," the Emperor said. He looked at Kyle and Kira. "Because of you, we have time to prepare. Because of a human who chose with his instincts instead of his eyes, and a Veran who felt deeply enough to see the truth." The battle in the throne room was brief but brutal. Thessia's guards attempted to fight their way out. Kira moved with lethal precision. Her intelligence training combined with something fiercer, the protective fury of someone defending what was hers. Kyle fought beside her back to back until the traitors were subdued. When the fighting ended, Liora and Thessia were in custody along with 17 co-conspirators. The Emperor stood among the wreckage of his throne room, looking older but resolute. The alliance will proceed, he declared, but it will be built on truth now, not deception. Earth and Vera will face this enemy as true family. He turned to Kyle and Kira. You have saved both our worlds. What do you ask in return? Kyle looked at Kira. This woman whose intensity and jealousy had been dismissed as weakness, whose emotional depth had been shamed and hidden. She met his gaze with eyes that still burned, but now with triumph instead of uncertainty. We ask only that our peoples learn from this, Kyle said. That Verans understand that emotion is not weakness, and that humans remember that our feelings can be weapons when wielded wisely. The Emperor nodded slowly. A hard lesson, but one we will learn. In the weeks that followed, the Veran fleets joined Earth's defensive positions. The genetic engineering program that had created Liora was dismantled. Thessia's fleet was reorganized under new command, and Kyle and Kira became symbols of the new alliance. The human who trusted his instincts, and the Veran who refused to hide her heart. They are still talking about us, Kira said one evening, watching news reports from Earth and Vera both. About the fool human who chose the jealous wife. Let them talk, Kyle replied. We know the truth. Jealousy is just love that pays attention, and paying attention saved everything. Kira leaned against him, her intensity settled into contentment. Do you regret it, choosing me instead of perfection or strength? I chose both, Kyle said. Perfection in someone who sees the truth, strength in someone who feels deeply enough to fight for what matters. He kissed her forehead. I chose exactly who I needed to choose. Above them, in the crimson sky, Veran and Earth ships flew in formation, no longer separate fleets but one unified force. The enemy would come eventually. But they would find not a vulnerable Earth and a complicit Vera, but two worlds standing together, bonded not by documents or politics, but by the marriage of a human who valued insight over beauty, and a Veran who turned her deepest flaw into humanity's salvation. In the end, what saved two civilizations was not diplomatic genius or military might. It was one man's choice to value the woman everyone else had dismissed, and one woman's refusal to let her emotions be silenced. They had thought he would choose beauty. They had expected him to choose strength. Instead, he chose the heart that beat fiercely enough to feel betrayal, recognize deception, and fight with everything she had for the truth. And that made all the difference.